I was the person literally like days after my transplant. I had the phone 3 inches away from my face, and I was like on Instagram searching hashtag liver transplants. And I was just so desperate to find someone else that could like possibly understand what I was going through. I would like scroll through pages and pages and click on profiles and just randomly message people. I showed up in so many people's DMs being like, I just had a transplant and I need help. Can you help me? But that's how my community started, was like 3 a.m. when I couldn't sleep and I was in pain. And I would just be on Instagram searching hashtags and be on Facebook searching like liver transplant support. And the most random people I would find profiles and pages. And that's how I got connected, is someone would respond to my DM and they would say, hey, this is my transplant story. Can I connect you here? This is what I went through. Can I support you like this? And it just became this hodgepodge of people that I kind of all pulled together from 3 a.m. desperation that really became my community. That's how it started.
My transplant was almost 18 years ago. Facebook had just started. So, and you had to have like a .edu email address. So there was not social media the way it is now. And I was very isolated at first. The first time I felt a sense of community and support was, with HIPAA, you can't just like walk into a transplant center and like say, "Who's had a transplant? Let me talk to them." But through mutual acquaintances, a woman showed up at the hospital and said, "Hey, I know you're probably not ready to talk to anyone, but I'm with the Mississippi Transplant Kids support group, and I had my transplant in New Orleans. I was born and raised in Mississippi." And I was like, "Transplant Kids support group? What on earth?" And at that point, I think I was pretty depressed. Like everything happened so suddenly for me that my mom got her information, and I just really didn't care. I was like, "Thanks for stopping by." And once I was out of the hospital and back home, she reached out again. And I went to a picnic that summer and saw for the first time kids all the way up to, I was 20, so up to near my age, people who had had transplants. And they were happy and playing and smiling and playing basketball and like things that I couldn't wrap my head around at that point still, like doing life in a normal way. And I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, they're basically normal people. Maybe I can be a normal people too. And that was the start of it for me. And over the years, it's kind of evolved into wherever I've lived, I've tried to find my people. And because of social media, I've got a pretty tight-knit support system of people that I haven't even met face to face yet. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome too. For me, I'm like, we'll reach the gamut. Like before Facebook and Instagram, I found most of my people on Facebook, but I have to back up. The first thing was through church. One of the church members that was like in the leadership role, his wife had had a kidney transplant, and I I knew that she had poor health, but I didn't know what it was until I got diagnosed with kidney disease and got on the kidney transplant list. And my husband was actually in Japan overseas with the Air Force, and he couldn't come with me to my first appointments, but she could. And so she came with me to my very first nephrology appointment. I was just like, that is just like God's hand, like connecting people in that moment. And then also, I shared a lot of what was going on with Facebook. I have a very strong faith-based community, and we're in the military. So over Facebook, there's a lot of spread because of that. And when I had my transplant, a lot of people would say, "Oh, I know somebody who knows somebody." And one of my good friends knew someone who had also had a kidney transplant, and she was able to. We would message on Facebook Messenger after my transplant while I was healing, and it was amazing talking to somebody that had been through a transplant who was also young like me, but had had one for a few years, to know, okay, it's possible, and I'm not going to die because nobody else that I know my age is going through something like this. And the other thing was Facebook groups, because I did get diagnosed with Alport syndrome, because I I Googled on Facebook groups about thin basement membrane nephropathy, and this had popped up. And one of the leaders of that support group um, guided me to a clinical trial to help learn more about the type of disease that I had. So a lot of social media mixed in with real life people. So that's where I found my community.